Hello, beautiful friends at Spiritual Center Spokane. My name is Reverend Bonnie, and it is Tuesday at 6 o'clock when this is uploaded, I'm glad to say, and a little bit earlier on Tuesday for this recording. I am so glad that you were here and that we get to spend this time together for certain. It has been a very busy and fruitful last month, and I look forward to getting into that with you. And I have been asked by many people about living spiritually, what that means, what that looks like, how to deal with circumstantial issues, situations, patterns, etc. And so I am peeling back the veil every week and showing you my dance that I have with the infinite intelligence of the universe. And I am still in process. There are times and there are moments when I am so awake and aware and aligned. And there are other times where I am fumbling all over the place. And so I am sharing both of those situations with you so that you can see how I do it, and hopefully it will inspire you as well. So I begin with the talk, and then after the talk, we do some kind of spiritual practice together. And I am so keenly tuned into energy that I am able to feel your presence on the other side of this platform on YouTube. And I love it. So know that we are together in consciousness and that there's only one consciousness and we're it. So what a delight, delight, delight. So the next 5 weeks, today and the following 4 weeks, will be pre-records that I'll upload at 6 because I'm taking a class on prosperity. And I didn't plan on it. I attended one of those free online sessions with a teacher that I just adore. And it led to, oh, by the way, we're having an upcoming prosperity class, and I would take anything from this gentleman because his consciousness is so potent. And so I signed up, and this is what I trust and know to be true. I know that because it was a yes for me internally, that I don't even have to know why. I don't have to understand why it's a yes. When I get a yes from the universe, when God says yes, I'm in. And often, like my move to Spokane, I was in and never stopped to ask, do I like this city? Do I fit here? Is this energetically compatible? Because it didn't matter. It didn't matter because it was a yes. I had an astrologer, I had a therapist, I had a spiritual advisor. All three say you are to move to Spokane and be around your grandkids now. And so, because I got the message 3 times and it felt right, I up and moved. So, with this class, I am disappointed that it just happens to be the exact same time that I meet with you every week. But because technology is so savvy, we still get to meet together and I get to take this class. So I will be sharing with you anything that I learn and pick up and apply because that's always helpful. I think sharing spiritual stories with each other is a very powerful, powerful thing to do. So this past month awoken me to patterns that I have around codependence. And it that was no secret to me. I've been codependent my whole life. Like many in my gender and age range, I was trained to be nice. And I've come over the years to learn that it's different to be kind than it is to be nice. Nice means accommodating. And kind has the prefix kin in it, or the word has kin in it. And kin, of course, means family. So there is an energy when we're kind of recognizing that we all come from the same source. And that's different than being nice, which means we override all of our internal systems in order to accommodate. And so I've been aware of this codependence dance for I don't know, 40 years for a long, long time. And so I was really surprised when it came back and bit me hard and good and got me squealing. Again, I had three different experiences of being codependent, experiencing the impact of it, and seeing it and living it and energetically being aware of it the entire time from beginning to end in 1 month. And that woke me up, and that has helped me be more discerning. And what I shared several weeks ago is that I had read the book, The Whole Brain Living by Jill Bolte Taylor. And in it, she describes there's four different parts of the brain. And one of the four parts of the brain is the wounded child part. And so, what books say about codependence is that when we are kids, when we are little, and we become hurt and we don't understand. So we have missing information. The world doesn't feel safe. We feel hurt in some way. We react in one of two ways. One is we go inside and blame ourselves and then try to please the person in front of us so that the person in front of us feels good and we kind of become chameleon like. And the second personality type is what I'm going to call it. I don't know that it's personality type, but the second behavior is to go outward and to blame whoever's in front of you. So it was really interesting. Growing up, I was bullied by my brother a lot. And I took it personally. And I would say, what's wrong with me? Like, why is he picking on me? What did I do? And I just had this internal need to know why he just couldn't be kind to me. And he had the same bully behavior to my sister. And my sister would say, what's wrong with him? Something's not right. People don't behave this way. So she pushed it out. I pushed it in. So when you get stuck in an innie or an outie, then it becomes called codependent and narcissist. And those two will find each other and be highly, highly compatible because it's the wounded part of themselves that's not healed. And from a big spiritual perspective, from the big, big, big perspective, we need to find that in order for us to bump up against it, in order for us to decide we are going to leave that pattern and do something else. So there are four parts of the brain, like I said. One is the wounded child, the other is the doer. It's the person that makes things happen. The third part of the brain is the creative part. It's the part that writes the music and that paints paintings and that writes poetry and that performs and all of that jazz. And then the fourth part of the brain is the God part of the brain. That's what I call it. So I gave names to all these four. She calls them something else. But how we get out of the wounded child is we have three different options to go to. We could go to doingness, which is why we see some people who are really traumatized and they just get up from the moment they wake up to the moment they go to bed and do so they don't have to see or feel what's going on. The next part of the brain is the creative part, and that's actually a really healthy way to deal with childhood trauma is to paint it, is to write plays about it, is to act, to be an actor or actress and take on different personalities and touch those parts of ourselves and express them. And then the fourth part, of course, is the part that I have trained myself in. Well, I've been in school and been trained by a lot of people, but I have done the work in consciousness, the prayer, the meditation, the the study, etc. It's the God part of the brain. It's the part of the brain that never has ever been hurt and never can be. It is the part of the brain that is euphoric. It is the part of the brain that is big picture. It is the part of the brain that cannot, on its own, do anything linearly because it is in a nonlinear space. So we are blessed by having four quadrants. And when we are aware that our behavior from childhood has somehow shown itself to us, then we have an opportunity to access different parts of ourselves. And the work I do as a spiritual advisor is I work with people to be able to show them the patterns that they've been operating out of and to work with them with spiritual practices to help either heal that so a transformation can take place or to be able to self manage by having the intelligence of God in operation. So, as a side note, I'm right now watching on Apple TV. I'm just in the first episode, but I'm watching the story of Martin Scorsese and his life. And he grew up in a very rough neighborhood with the Italian mob. And he grew up in the projects and he had asthma. And because his asthma was so bad and they did not have air conditioning, the only way to get him relief was to take him to the movies where they had air conditioning. So from the age 5 and on, he would go. Imagine this. I just think about it, and I think God is so brilliant. And to watch this, I mean, as I was hearing his story, I was going like, "Oh my God, God is all over this." But for him to struggle so hard to breathe and be miserable, and then when he has relief, is in the midst of this creative venue called movies. And for him to get relief and fall in love, it's like I can't imagine a better combination. So, as we know, he's gone on to be a brilliant filmmaker. And he said his life work is to show good and evil and the line between the two of those and where they intersect and how easy it is for someone who's good to move to evil actions in certain circumstances. And so that's his life story, his purpose, his work. And again, I thought, oh, that's so brilliant. So we see that he had a traumatized part of his brain with his illness as a child, and then how he got his relief was creativity. So it's accessing a different part of the brain, which is so great. So I've learned a lot again about codependence, and I want to talk about it. I want to tell you that I have come to learn for me that being codependent means saying yes when I mean to or want to or do say no. So when there's a no and it ends up becoming a yes, that is codependence. So I have become aware that the life energy of the universe is pulsing through my body right now, just as it is with yours. And the freedom that we have to follow the guidance of God and to do what is ours to do and to unfold that is really quite amazing. But we also have the freedom to snub our nose at our guidance and to instead try to supplicate ourselves to someone else. And so, what I've come to realize is it is so costly. It's not just saying yes when it's a no, it's not just that. It is literally not following guidance, stepping away from presence, creating my own victim trauma within myself and diverting life energy to something that isn't mine to do, but it is someone's. And I learned that 30 years ago. I learned that when I say no to what isn't mine, that there's somebody who has a yes for it and it brings them joy. So I am actually taking away someone else's joy when I say yes to something that isn't mine to do. So codependence for me is saying yes when I mean no. It is very, very costly. It is health, it impacts health. It impacts well being, it impacts energy systems, and it is giving my power away. It is taking that energy of the divine presence and saying, here, somebody else, you have it because you have a need or desire, and I don't matter. So I am telling God within me that I don't matter because I am putting someone else's need before my no. So that's really significant. And then I saw in the three examples I've experienced this past month, I saw rise within my body incredible resentment. Incredible resentment. I'm talking about develop a yeast infection resentment. And I am talking about boiling inside resentment. Now, the benefit is that, as you guys know, I've been practicing loving every emotion as it has risen within me. So I have had the privilege, the absolute God-given privilege to sit with my emotional self around resentment and to absolutely love it. Of course, I would be resentful by doing something I don't want to do that isn't mine. Of course, I would be resentful. So there's no need to attack the resentment or make it wrong. But instead, as that energy has arisen in my being, I just have held it and said, I love you, resentment. I love you. I'm so glad you're here. You're welcome in my body. You're welcome in my space. I will love you forever. I now know why you show yourself to me. I've always known why I got angry, or I shouldn't say I always did, but once I started meditating, I did this meditation called Taking a Seat. And it came out of Jack Kornfield's book from 30 years ago or so called A Path with Love, one of my most favorite books in the whole world. And he says in this book, in your meditation, to sit with whatever emotion is there and interview it. So I've interviewed all my emotions except resentment because I needed this rotor-rooter, extreme codependent experiences for me to be able to make that link. And once that link was made, I now know that I experience resentment in my body and being when I have betrayed myself. Oh, huge, 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 worth the price of admission. And I'm sharing it with you so you don't have to learn that yourself. So then I saw behind the veil. So what happened, which was so interesting, was I was able to see in all three examples that that each one of us has our life to express, our divine self to give forward. And I could see behind the veil that if I am not doing my purpose, living my purpose, behaving my purpose, acting out my purpose, which is to demonstrate heaven on earth, if I am not doing my purpose, then I am seduced by other people's needs. And so, again, let me back up even bigger and to say that take a breath with me. Please, please take a breath with me. Ah, there is no right and wrong in God. There just is. There just is. But what I was able to see is when I say yes to what should be a no and give away my God energy. Then I am leaving my purpose and giving my energy over to another person's need. And I don't want to be feeding needs. My life's work is not to feed needs. It is to do the work of God that I was put here on the earth to do. And so these three works were work was huge for me. Now I want to read a little bit from this book before I go on about what I've learned. So I gave you my definition of codependent, but I want to talk a little bit about what I learned. So I'm back to the Way of Mastery book that I just find so beautiful. And it says in here, you are the one who selects out what you are going to be aware of, and you are calling it into your life experience. You select what is going on and what you make important to you. And that's very, very, very true. So not only did I have these three codependent experiences and get filled up with resentment, but I called them forward. The vibrational energy of my unhealed, wounded child self called it forward because it's time to reconcile to a deeper level. And so the characters in this story aren't important in that, or they are important either way, in that they did a part to activate my awakening. They are teachers and lovers of sort. They are waking me up so that I could see where I'm in and out of alignment. So this says, as you have attracted to yourself certain persons, places, things, objects, and above all, thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions, you have dropped them like little pebbles into the still, clear pool of your vast and eternal awareness. What you experience are effects or the ripples of those pebbles. They literally join with the other ripples that you have created. As these ripples move out and touch each other and come back to you, this is the field of creation that makes up your physical third dimensional reality. You are therefore never experiencing anything except what you have chosen to create through your selection of the pebbles that you have dropped into your field of awareness. You literally never experience a solitary thing. You do not experience objects. What you experience is the effect of a thought or a belief in objects. You never experience another person, for they are made up of a whole web of vibrations. Oh my God. Love, love, love all of that. Okay, so what did I learn as this codependence piece showed up and I said I was able to define it as now being the part of me that says yes when it means no, that it is where I see I give my power and energy away, where I am disrespectful of my purpose, and where one of the flags for me is that I experience a lot of resentment. So that's how I define codependency right now. What I've learned through this process is that I am not a victim and that I am called to stand for me. So, with all of these pebbles in the pool, with all of these thoughts, I am in communion with divine presence, taking a stand and saying, this is mine, this isn't mine. This is mine, this isn't mine. This is in alignment, this isn't in alignment. And so when I choose to do a no with a yes, then if there's any victims, I have victimized myself. But given that all there is God and it is incredible love, then in reality, I am not a victim at all. So what I learned is I'm not a victim and that how I move around in the world is to take a stand for me. The presence of God within me is to take a stand for the unhealed part of Bonnie, is to take a stand, is to hold space for this beautiful child that was misunderstood. Okay, so I learned I'm not a victim. And then I learned that my next new spiritual practice is going to be having hard conversations. And I blogged about that this week. And you can find that at spiritualcenterspokane.org or bonniebarnard.com. Both will take you to the same place. The third thing I learned is I really miss my creative self. And so I will reinvest in her. And that to love, to have the gift of loving the resentment that was arising in me is an honor and a privilege, one of a lifetime. Like, I'm so thrilled that this has happened while I'm still alive on planet Earth. My intent is to be a presence of divine love, walking around, just loving everybody I see. I've always wanted to be like Alma and hug people, or I wanted to sit in a room and transmit love energy. And so, because I've been called to that for decades, then for me, to have experienced the resentment and loved it, it just creates more internal spaciousness, and I'm very grateful. So, my question for you is, what if you aren't a victim of your own circumstances? And what if you prayed and communed to be shown the way through? So, when you or I feel out of alignment, integrity with divine presence, what if we prayed and communed to be shown the way through? So it's the consciousness and the awareness that everything, especially emotions, is temporary and that it cycles through, and how lovely that is. Love, love, love that. And then, of course, when I ask you those questions to ponder, they're really questions that I am pondering for me. But what great questions. So let's see. Do I want to go any further? No, I don't think I want to go. That was really intense. And but I have got pages, pages more. Yeah, I've got pages and pages more. So I will hold off on that. And I will bring it up next week so that we continue to have a conversation together. This is a lot of good stuff. It is awareness and freedom. And so I felt the contracting of divine presence with my three experiences of codependence, and I writhed in bed. And I called several witnesses and I just said, "Oh my goodness, have I done it to myself? Oh my goodness." And it wasn't comfortable, but living spiritually isn't. We've all gotten a weird memo that says everything is supposed to be peace and joy and good, and it is. But it's a level of consciousness you get to by embracing discomfort. And so I embraced a lot of it this last month, and I feel a lightness and a freedom that I have not felt in a long time. And I'm extraordinarily grateful. And I'm grateful to the three individuals who are willing to step forward and to push my buttons. And I'm grateful to my friends who listened to those stories as I processed them through and trusted that I would process them through. And I I just am grateful. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And now I have a greater capacity to love. Like, what a win. So next week I'll finish this conversation. I want to share with you what I've learned about having difficult conversations and and parse that apart. So That will come next. In the meantime, I send you deep, deep, deep love and gratitude. And now we're going to meditate together. So let's go ahead and feel our feet on the ground. Let's take a nice big breath. Ah, and again. Oh. Mm. And I do want to invite you when we are done with the meditation for you to comment, for you to subscribe if you haven't. It is my intention in the next 12 months to have at least 1,000 viewers so that there is a financial exchange between YouTube and myself, and also that the good news can be shared. So, your contribution of leaving a comment and your contribution of subscribing and sharing is significant. So let's take our attention away from all of the requests and bring our attention inside to our heart space. And I was taught as I learned about energy to always be sure you're grounded when you do anything with your heart. And because our heart is electromagnetic and all electrical systems need grounding. And so, with your open heartedness, just imagine the light energy from within you, that electric pole to go all the way down to your feet and down through the earth. And with that open light energy, allow yourself to go up into the heavens. And so you've got a column of light from heaven to the highest, highest, highest reaches you could go, all the way down to the center of the earth. And you sitting amidst this light field and this light field within you. And let's take some nice big breaths together as we receive the light. Oh, move your body if you are called to. And if there's any part of your body that's in physical pain, allow yourself to imagine the Reiki hands or the energy hands of healers on that part of your body temple as you breathe. And so you breathe and you receive light, and you breathe and you receive transmission. And just notice where you feel this light in your body temple. Make sure you breathe. I'm feeling light behind my eyes. It's really quite spectacular. Just notice where in your body you're feeling the intensity of the cone of light in which you're sitting, the field of light. if anywhere. And we just keep breathing. And repeat after me. My body is whole, perfect, and complete. My body is God's body. God lives, moves, and has its being in my body temple. Love is alive in every cell of my body. I feel the vibration of divine love right now. There is no shortage of light. Light exists everywhere. By my light being turned on, there's actually more, not less, for everyone. I'm grateful to be alive. Right where I am, the divine presence is. And so, right here and right now, I just give thanks for the divine presence of God as me and as you. That this divine presence is everywhere. Its circumference is everywhere and nowhere both. That you and I are light beings, you and I are electric beings, you and I are vibrational beings, having a human experience that can be, if we train our perception, to be heaven here on earth. And so I bless everything. I bless my friends. I bless those who aren't considered friends. I bless my home and I bless my body temple. I bless the money in my wallet and in my bank account. And I bless the healing that I receive and that I'm so grateful for. And I bless the creative aspect of my mind that has been invited to move and come forward and take some more space up in my consciousness. And I just give thanks that the presence of God and all of its infinite wisdom has allowed a curriculum to happen in each one of our lives that we are able to see where we have thought incorrectly and that we are able to open to receive the goodness and the glory and the love of God. And I give thanks for these ingenious and beautiful practices we call spiritual practice. And I give thanks that in reality, there isn't anyone who is bad or who is evil, but there are individuals who have closed down their light so far that they act that way. And so I ask for the presence and the power of God's love to be able to see with the sight of love and to be able to presence God's beauty wherever I go. And so for being utilized as a messenger from the goodness and the glory of God, I do give thanks. I bless each one of us here on YouTube. I bless this platform and all that it does for our world. And so together, let's say, and so it is, amen. And shake out a little bit, move your arms around a bit. Take a big breath. And I just give thanks for who you are, my friend. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. You are blessed and a blessing.